Welcome back to That Dad Guy. It's December the 30th, 2021, and outside we have a little bit of snow on the ground, so it's looking very wintry. I've got my sweater on. It's about -1, so a little bit wintry conditions. It's not -1 in the house though, so I'm not sure I need this zipped all the way up. I want to thank you guys for all the support this year and all the comments. The growth has been fantastic. Hopefully 2022 we'll see some new adventures and some more people joining the That Dad Guy group. So thank you in advance to all of you who are sharing my channel, who are promoting, and who are commenting on Instagram or through YouTube. I really appreciate it, and it helps me to get more out there. So thank you for that. Thank you to the Postcrossers who support me. Thank you to the Lego community that supports me. And thank you to the stamp collecting community that now seems to be supporting me. So appreciate all of that. I recently put out a video of what I bought at the post office. So we got some new stamps and some prepaid postage cards from there. I was really looking for some regular postcards because I want to be able still to send out these stamps, not just prepaid cards, but send out my stamps, send out different Canadian stamps, so it can be, you can see really what we have throughout the year as the stamps continue to change. And so I went to Resurgo. Resurgo is the name of the Moncton Museum, and in that gift shop they had some cards. So I was glad to be able to pick up a bunch of cards. I want to show you those and focus on them. I've been looking for cards that depict Moncton in specific. I have cards that are New Brunswick based or Atlantic Canada based or even Canada based, but I wanted something that told a little bit of the story of the city where I'm from. Just a little bit of background on Moncton. Resurgo means to rise again, and so that is the history of Moncton. We have gone through many phases. We were once a proud shipbuilding community on the mighty Petitcodiac. As the river changed, as the needs for wooden ships changed, we got away from that. We became a train community. The CN shops, which is the Canadian National Railway, were based here in Moncton, so they serviced all of Eastern Canada's trains. And then in the 80s, they closed up the shops and moved them to Montreal. So we had to rebuild ourselves again, and we got into telecoms and some more computer industries and things like that, and really have seen a lot of growth. We've had a lot of immigration lately, so we're becoming more diverse in our city. We are the largest city in New Brunswick now. We've surpassed St. John. So really a lot of growth here in Moncton, and you can see it when you drive around town with all the cranes and the buildings being built. Lots of great things are in the works. So I wanted to show you a few of the things that Moncton is proud for, just based on some postcards that I found. And one of the ones, I'm going to start right off, is this local artist, La Grande Vague de Moncton. So the Big Wave of Moncton. This is by Audrey Fabre in 2021. And I believe Audrey also does Postcrossing. So that is her card, her interpretation. There's the city skyline. This is the tidal wave or the tidal bore that comes in on the Petitcodiac. And we're famous for that. They even have people that come and surf it now. This picture makes it look maybe a little bit bigger than it is, because it certainly doesn't go above, but it's perspective. So Audrey is very talented. I've seen a lot of her stuff on Instagram too. So I wanted to give a shout out to Audrey for that. And she's done a fantastic job, and great that she has recognition at the Moncton Museum too. So I've gone ahead and bought her card, and it will go off to someone at some point. The next one is also the Petitcodiac, but this is a perspective of the boardwalk as you walk into downtown. I did a Instagram live once walking along that, and so any of you who watch that may recognize this. This, of course, the tide is up in the Petitcodiac, so you can see the water level is quite high, but it's just an interesting art perspective of the walkway in downtown. You can't really see the buildings, but you can see the nature. So that's pretty cool. I like that one. Now the next one is actually inside the museum, and I talked about the history of trains. So there is a section in the museum that's based on transportation. So it has trains, it has the airplanes, it has boats, it has truck companies, all sorts of things that Moncton is known for. Moncton is considered the hub of Atlantic Canada, and Atlantic Canada is New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador. Those 4 provinces make up Atlantic Canada, and Moncton is the hub. So a lot of transportation and things comes through here if you want to get to other places. And we're very centrally located, that's why we're the hub. Within 2.5 hours, you can either be in Fredericton or St. John or Charlottetown or Halifax. Everything is quite close when you go through Moncton. Now, here is an inception. Here's Moncton way back when. You've got more of a pre-car or heavy cars, no cars, pre-car. You've got horse-drawn carriages in the background. And some of these buildings still do exist in Moncton. And it's quite neat to see that. This building here with the spire used to be where the newspaper was. It isn't anymore, of course, but that is one of those buildings. So some of this downtown structure still exists today. And that was in 1912. And here, if you're at the museum, right next to the museum is the Free Meeting House. So it was built in 1821, and it is the oldest building that still exists here in Moncton now. It hasn't burnt down or anything like that. It has been used for different types of church services through the years, and it's basically open to anyone who wants to use that space, either as a church area or a congregation area. People have gotten married there and had receptions there. It's been used for all sorts of things, and it's located right next to the museum. Here we have a picture of the Rocks. I talk about the Rocks quite often. It's only about 40-minute drive from Moncton. This one picture was taken in 1905. So the Rocks are a formation that's been created by the Bay of Fundy and the largest tides in the world. It carves out the rocks every time the waves come in, and the tides come in rather. The rocks slowly erode away, and they've created these giant rocks that look like flower pots because you can see all the greenery on top, and then the rock slowly is being eroded underneath. So it looks like a flower pot. The next one is Magnetic Hill, and this is in 1975. As you can see, the cars are a little older. We're a little historic here. Magnetic Hill is an attraction in Moncton where you can drive to the bottom of a hill, put your car in neutral, and have it pull you right back to the top. It's been a natural phenomenon that's been baffling visitors for 80 years, is what the card says. It's kind of interesting to see. It looks like the water's running uphill when you're being pulled back up. And so yeah, so that's Magnetic Hill. And then this is another one here. We're talking about shipbuilding in the Petitcodiac River. This is Moncton in 1910. So you've got some older boats then. You can see the tide has gone down in this and is away. So the ship is stuck in the mud. But when the tide comes in, they're free to sail away. We had an interesting thing happen probably in the 90s here. We had a gentleman come from France in his sailboat, and he was using some old maps and some old charts. And he sailed up the Petitcodiac River, and the tides went out, and he got caught in the mud because, you know, that's just the way it was. And he was thinking this mighty river that had tall ships still existed the way it did back on his old maps. It has changed since then, and so he unfortunately got stuck in the mud and had some issues that had to be dealt with. So here's another one. This is 1971 Moncton. Woolworth's department store is no longer around. It is gone. The pink subway crossing, this is what we call this, and this bridge is the subway. And some people, when they say, oh, you've got a subway in Moncton, it's not an underground train. We do not have that. It's not the restaurant where you can buy sandwiches, even though we do have those. But this subway, they used to paint it different colors. One, they paint it this color because the bridge is only so high, and it seems like every year there's a truck that tries to get under and get stuck. And And we also, during the days when we had the railroad here, we had CN days, and they would paint inside murals. I don't think, well, you can kind of see it here. So in the summer they would have CN days and they would paint murals on all the columns inside. So it was kind of a nice festival. It's not like that anymore. It is painted. It's not quite as bright. It's not Pepto-Bismol anymore. It's more of an orange color now. And the bridge really doesn't have the same appeal now that we don't have CN days anymore. And here, there's the title board we talked about in the Petitcodiac. And this is in 1905. So the title board is caused when the tides from the Bay of Fundy make their way up the historical Petitcodiac River. So that's just, you can see how the tides really are, and people surf those. Not quite like that tide or that wave. And here is the Moncton Museum. So this is Resurgo Place, and has all sorts of things, a discovery center, places to go for kids, old uniforms, anything that has to do with the city and some of the inhabitants that have lived here over time. And so there's some Micmac culture in there from the native Canadians before, the people that came before the Europeans arrived here, and then some history, famous curlers maybe that live in Moncton. So there's all sorts of things you can find in Resurgo Place. And finally, this long card shows the Moncton skyline at night. This is a more current picture of Moncton, which is what I was really looking for. It's nice to have the historical cards, but if I was to mail those, and when I do mail them, I'll have to talk a little bit about it. I don't want people thinking that Moncton still looks like this, that might be depicted from a 1902 card. Moncton is a modern city. It is not filled with skyscrapers or anything like that, as our population is only about just under 130,000 people. But for Atlantic Canada, we're a nice sized city, and I'm happy to promote it. So I hope you like these cards. One of them may end up in your mailbox one day, who knows? So I wanted to say happy Postcrossing. Get ready for 2022 and all the fun things that hopefully will be in store on this channel and in your lives. I hope for safety for you and your families, and just enjoy life. Stay safe. What, Polo? You say like, subscribe, share, and tell all your friends?
Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?